everyone, welcome back to Trees and Turtles. In today's video, I'm sharing 12 things I love about being an adult. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to do that, give this video a thumbs up, follow me on Instagram, and let's get started. So this video was supposed to be called 10 things I love about being an adult, but I was brainstorming and I got 12, and I couldn't decide which 2 to get rid of. So you're getting all 12. Now, I wanted to make this video because I've just generally been making a lot of videos in the kind of early 20s adulthood genre, and I think sometimes the early 20s can feel like a really scary time, and your 20s in general, your young adulthood in general, like it doesn't stop there. I mean, I'm going to be in my young adulthood for a while, so I think this discourse is really important to talk about, because I think sometimes adulthood is presented as very scary. It's like, oh, you know, you've got responsibilities, you've got to pay tax, you've got to get an education, you've got to be financially like stable in yourself, and there's all this pressure to be like, why aren't you in a relationship, why haven't you bought a house, you know, well, how's your career going, and all of that can be really stressful. So I wanted to kind of bring in the other side and remind you and remind myself that there are actually a lot of amazing things about being an adult, because when we are kids we kind of want to be adults, and then as soon as we become adults we get overwhelmed and we think, oh, you know, there's nothing good about this. But then we need to remember what it was that we ultimately used to want when we were kids, and there are some really awesome things about adulthood as well. So let's focus on that. And the first thing that I love about being an adult is I can do whatever the hell I want, okay? That is one of the things that really sucked about childhood, is you literally can't do what you want. Like, your movements and your life is so sort of regimented and controlled that it's really difficult to actually, that sense of freedom is kind of curtailed. So seriously, when you're an adult, be grateful for being able to do whatever you want. Like, you can literally do whatever you want, okay? You can literally do whatever you want. And that is the best thing for me about being an adult. Like, I'm gonna make a long list in this video of other things I like, but this is the first and foremost reason why I love being an adult. And it's kind of an umbrella reason as well that encompasses a lot of the other reasons. Like, I can literally do whatever I want. You know, sometimes I'm having a bad day and, you know, maybe, I don't know, like it was raining and a car splashed me with mud, or, you know, I've messed up at work, or something has happened, or, you know, I got into a fight with one of my friends and we had a disagreement. But at the end of the day, I'm an adult and I can do whatever I want. And I often say that to myself, like when I'm having a bad day, I'm like, you know what, at least you're an adult and you can do what you want. So I do want to emphasize that, like, that is a really cool thing about being an adult, is you can literally do what you want. And I think a lot of the time we forget that, and we kind of get into a routine where we're like, oh, you know, I do this and I do that and I do this, but then we fail to think outside the box. You can literally do whatever you want, okay? It's really cool. All right, cool thing number 2 about being an adult is actually having legal rights, okay? Children do have rights, but this is often in theory only, and they are kind of the only people who can legally be owned by another person, i.e. their parents, which it works out fine if your parents are great, but parents are not always great. So yeah, that kind of sucks about being a child, is the idea that you are basically legally the property of another person, which is kind of fucked up when you think about it. But on the flip side of that, actually having legal rights is a wonderful thing about being an adult, and legal rights that are actually kind of enforceable from your perspective as well. Like, obviously, yeah, children have rights, but a lot of the time kids' like perspectives are ignored, or, you know, yeah, it's not great being a kid from that perspective. It's not always great. So that is something else that I find really comforting about being an adult, is, you know, in like rights terms, I know my rights, and it does make me feel like valued, I guess. Yeah, let's move on. Number 3 is I can discover my own personality more. This is something I really like about being an adult. Like I said, when you're a kid, you're often your routine is really scheduled, really controlled, kind of regimented, and exploring your personality, which obviously you should be doing as you grow up, it gets so much easier when you are an adult, and it comes back to being able to do literally whatever you want. Like, I've tried so many things out in the past few years since I became an adult, and it's really helped me discover my own personality, because I have so much more freedom now. It really, really is, like, it really helps everything kind of fall into place. So I absolutely love that about being an adult, is I literally just do whatever I want, and it's helped me discover so much more about my personality than I would have been able to when I was still a teenager or a kid. The next thing I love about being an adult is voting. I remember the 2019 general election was held very shortly after my 18th birthday, so I got very lucky on that one. And I remember voting for the first time, and it was the most thrilling thing that I don't know, it was probably the most thrilling thing that I did the whole year I turned 18. And maybe that just means I'm boring, but the idea of participating in democracy, being able to vote, again, it really comes back to having rights and having a voice and feeling like your opinion matters. So voting, I love it so much. Like, yeah, living in a democracy, brilliant. Absolutely love that about being an adult. And I haven't missed a single election since I turned 18, whether that's general or local. I always vote in every election that I am eligible for. So voting is something that's really personally very important to me and something I love about being an adult. The next thing I love about being an adult is money. Honestly, like, having your own money is just the best thing ever. And yeah, people say that money can't buy happiness. That's actually bullshit. What money buys is financial independence, and financial independence leads to personal independence, which leads to you being happy. Okay, so does money buy happiness? Yes, actually it does. The next thing I love about being an adult is dating freely. So especially, well, I mean, let's be real, I didn't have a dating life as a teenager. But I think that kind of freedom to just date whoever and however you want, pretty much, is something that's really awesome about being an adult. And nobody is around telling me who I should or shouldn't date, so that's great as well. The next thing I love about being an adult is being able to travel more. Obviously, it's so much easier to just like travel because, you know, I'm able to do whatever I want, I've got money. So yeah, being able to travel more is something that's wonderful. And solo travel as well. Like, solo travel is fantastic and I really enjoy it. And it really does make me feel more confident and more like an adult as well. The next thing is kind of a practical point, and, you know, it's still not like as beneficial to me as it is to other people, but being able to reach stuff. Like, I'm short, but not that short. Not being able to reach anything really pissed me off as a kid. Like, I remember being a kid, and I was a very independent kind of child, as you may be able to tell. Like, some things don't change, but I remember being like, I don't know, like 2.5 feet tall, and it really sucked. Like, I was always like, I really want to grow up so I can reach stuff. And, you know, obviously I'm not as tall as some people, but I am like a regular adult height. I'm 5'3", so 160 centimeters, and I can reach so much more stuff than I used to be able to as a kid. And that is something that just, yeah, it really helps. It really helps because obviously, like, there are a lot of adults who are way shorter than me, but in general, as you become an adult, you get taller than you were as a child. So that's really helpful because, yeah, being able to reach stuff, not being able to reach stuff really sucks. Right, the next thing I love about being an adult is being able to get tattoos. Obviously, I am glad that I wasn't allowed to get tattoos when I was like 15 because I would have made some interesting and probably terrible choices. But being an adult, and yeah, especially a young adult, you know, people often say, oh, if you get tattoos as a young adult, you're going to regret it later on. I got my first tattoo when I was 20, so 3 years ago. 3 years ago? 2.5. Yeah, no, like 3 years ago, I think. 2.5 years ago. And it was, yeah, it was great. I mean, I think, no, was I 21? It was 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago. I just got my second tattoo, so I got 2, and I did think about each one quite extensively before I got it. So, you know, even if I regret it in the future, which I very much doubt I will, because my tattoos have really strong and kind of profound personal significance to do with like my mental health and stuff. So I don't think I'm going to regret them later on, but even if I do, you know, they're part of my story, so I don't think I'm going to regret it from that point of view. Being able to get tattoos is great. It really helped me sort of gain that sense of like ownership and like personal physical autonomy over myself back, which I didn't really feel very much before I was an adult. So being able to get tattoos is really useful for a sense of personal ownership. Living on my own is great. You can't really live on your own until you're an adult. But yeah, just the peace and quiet is absolutely wonderful. I love it so much. The next thing I like about being an adult, maybe a little controversial, is alcohol. Now, I don't want to say that I like it too much, and I definitely used alcohol as a crutch emotionally when I was at university. But, you know, having a drink now and then can be fun. And I think I've learned to sort of, like, I've learned to not use it as an emotional crutch so much, definitely through therapy and through quitting for a while. So yeah, in moderation, guys. I don't want to be a bad influence here, but in moderation it could be fun, it could be social, just obviously don't go overboard. And if you're noticing that you're starting to use it as an emotional crutch, then quit and get into therapy and learn how to engage with it in a better and more healthy way, because it can be really destructive, and I would be remiss if I didn't say that. But yeah, it can also be fun if you engage in it in a healthy way. So engage in it in a healthy way and make sure that you aren't using it as an emotional, you're not developing any kind of dependency, because obviously it is an addictive substance. And I'm not going to be that bad influence who tells you, you know, like, do whatever you want in terms of getting like addicted to anything, because I don't want that. So I kind of went on a rant there. Alcohol is nice in moderation, guys. Let's move on. And finally, the 12th thing I like about being an adult is buying fireworks. So I just think it's really cool that, obviously, again, I don't want to be a bad influence here. The necessary thing to say here is that you need to do it safely, follow the instructions, and don't be stupid about like how and where you set them off. Be considerate of your neighbours and all of that, but in a safe and healthy and legal context, buying fireworks can be quite fun. Like, sparklers are very pretty and yeah, just give me a lot of joy. So yeah, buying fireworks is something cool that you can do as an adult. Again, safety first, guys. But yeah, these are 12 things I love about being an adult, in sort of no particular order, although I think the things at the start of the video were definitely more important than the things at the end of the video. Anyway, that's just how my rants work sometimes. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, follow me on Instagram. I'll see you next time. Be safe. Bye.